That was ultimately a choice too, was like wanting to build a family, and also having kind of the freedom. That was one of the things I had seen some of leadership, and I was just like, I don't really want to be like that, where they're all gung-ho, and like you're like, but are you really there for like your family at home? Like they're at work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they don't leave till 8 o'clock in the evening, and you're like,
sure,
that's not what I wanted to be personally.
Right.
So that was a big factor, and then also just kind of having your freedom again. For me, I got to a point where I don't necessarily know if I was going to be the right leader for my Marines, and I think that also helped kind of like transition me out of the military. I just didn't know if I was in it for the right reasons anymore.
You had a value difference.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. My name is PJ, and I'll be your host. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of those who have successfully transitioned out of the military so you can see the tips and tricks necessary to have a successful transition of your own. That way you don't have to stumble across some of the same things that myself and my team at Prize had to struggle with. At Prize, we believe in a world where all enjoy the freedom to grow. That's why we're developing the Prize app. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the prize.vet link in the show notes below.
Yeah. Hey fam, welcome to our next episode of the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. Today we have Zachary Matthews with us, prior Marine, 2111. I'm going to go ahead and let him actually do a bit of introduction today. So with that, please give me a high-level overview, of your service, how many deployments you did, when were you in?
Yeah, so I served in the Marine Corps from 2013 to 2021. I started off as a 2111, and then I transitioned to 2112.
And for those who don't know what that is,
that's a precision weapons technician. Yeah. Big in the Marine Corps. They're the ones that were like the start of the Marine Corps' like sniper program. They like manufacturing the Remington 500 sniper rifles and things like that. Yeah. So that was something that I really wanted to do, and I got to do that. And then I deployed in my second enlistment. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, and I deployed to the Philippines. So just one deployment in those 8 years.
That's cool, man. And when were you in? What was the time frame?
2013 to 2021.
And you got out as a
E5 sergeant.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And then he got out and got into software engineering, which those of you who do know me, it's near and dear to my heart, at least. So cool. Hey, welcome so much. Welcome so much. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Today, we're going to walk through, your service and then what it was really like for you, one, while you were in, but then after you got out. So appreciate the 50,000 foot view there. If we were to but zoom in on that period of like you getting into the military, please walk me through that a little bit. What was your journey like?
Yeah, so for me, the Marine Corps was something that I've always wanted to be in. I think if you ask any of my mom, dad, any family members, it's kind of like ever since I was a little kid, like I always wanted to be in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And I only had one relative in the Marine Corps. My great uncle was in the Marine Corps. He served in World War II, and he was actually in the Battle of Iwo Jima for the Marine Corps.
Wow.
So, something really important in the history of the Marine Corps. So something that's kind of big with me too. So I've always wanted to be in the Marine Corps, and I knew that's what I wanted to do outside of high school. So I think as soon as I could, I think it's like 16 is like the earliest, I signed up for like the delayed entry program.
Oh, really?
So yeah, for like 2 years I was working with like the recruiters and doing like their PT and things like that. And then a month or two after I graduated high school, I shipped off to boot camp.
Wow. Yeah. How were your parents with that?
My dad, I think when I was younger, he was kind of all about it, gung ho. But
really?
I think once it came time, he was a little more on edge. But for my mom, she kind of knew it's what I always wanted. And I came from a small town here in Pennsylvania, and it's just one of those things I wanted to get out and see the world, see what it had to offer.
I really understand that.
And I got to do that. So I really appreciated that part of the Marine Corps for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. So, all right. So you went in, you said you were 2111 first. Yeah.
2111. Yeah. I went in, I wanted to be a combat engineer, I think is what I had signed up for.
Oh, right. So much fun. You get to play with the C4 and blow things up.
But, I think as most Marines will know, unless you sign up for 0311, I think you're not guaranteed really where you're going to go.
Sure.
So after boot camp, I think they give you your MOS designation, and they said 2111. I was like, what? I don't even know what that is. They're like small arms repair technician. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then after Camp Lejeune at like, I forget what they call it. It's like the general like combat training for the Marine Corps. MCT.
Yeah.
Marine combat training. They said I was going to Fort Lee, Virginia, and that's where my MLS school was, and I got shipped there. I was there for maybe like 6 or 8 months. I was in Fort Lee, and that's kind of just like, it's an Army base. It's like Army Arty base, and
Army that also put their bases in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so we got to do like, we were out there PTing, and you see like the Army cats out there, and they're doing their thing. I think that's like their kind of their like combat, like one of their schools after they do like their basic training too. So that was interesting there. And then you get used to things there, and you think you're kind of a real Marine, but then you get sent to the fleet after that, and you get kicked down a notch. You get because you're there for so long, and then you have the new Marines coming in from boot camp, and you're just like, I'm more senior than you. It's like the whole thing, but you haven't even made it anywhere. So you're still in a school setting. But yeah, and then my first duty station was Hawaii, so I got lucky. I was
that sounds terrible.
A Hawaii Marine out there, 3rd Marines out there, and that was fun. I got to do a lot of cool things, some training exercises. The RIM pack, which is like where like the military's like war games they do. I got to be a part of that twice, and Balakatan, which was like a training exercise with the Philippines.
I bet that's cool.
So got to do that. Got to ride AAVs, which is like the amphibious assault vehicles.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing I will say, is like when you're riding that off the back of a boat, because they tell you get in that thing, and it's like this metal box, and you're just like, you're right directly like crushed in there like a can of sardines to everyone else, and they're like, just so you know, when it comes off the boat, it gets completely submerged, and you're like, what do you mean? Like this metal box goes completely underwater. We came up though, so
well, that's a good thing, man. I can see that. Everybody had to play with those. Cool, man. So like, I can only imagine the fear coming off an AAB there. And also the only experience I have with that is like looking back and watching, like Saving Private Ryan. So like very, very different experience, although I think that was a different vehicle as well. How was your time in Hawaii?
It was good. I mean, I would say like when I was there, I kind of didn't like it. And you're like,
why?
You're like landlocked. Like, I got out to the beaches and like had fun. But now that I look back at it as like being out, and then also like as my second enlistment, I was like, I don't know why I didn't like it there as much. And I think a lot of the reason too, like it's like the Marine Corps, but I think the Hawaii kind of Marines is like a completely different animal than like Camp Pendleton or like 29 Palm.
Oh, sure. They have their own culture.
They have their own culture. So it's kind of more laid back, but then going to like Camp Pendleton and being like, we're in the real like Marine Corps, then you're like, okay, I see. Now that I'm older, it's like I could go back to Hawaii.
It's funny how that goes. That's cool. So you said you deployed to the Philippines.
To the Philippines. I deployed to the Philippines. That was in my second enlistment. I was assigned to 1st Marine Raiders in Camp Pendleton. So I got to deploy with them. I got to do some cool training with them as well. And that was a good experience. I met a lot of cool people out there, and that's a whole nother world when it comes to the Marine Corps too. And that's one of the things I look back on now is like, man, that's something that I learned about sooner, because that would have been a really like interesting thing to like have gone and done and see if you can like make it, because they're on like a whole nother level.
What do you mean? You mean like being
like I become like a Marine Raider, like,
oh yeah.
That they're on a whole nother level.
They're
and
badass.
Yeah, so that's something I look back upon, and I kind of wish I would have at least tried, to see if you could do it. Like obviously not everyone makes it, but at least you don't have that regret, of not trying and seeing what it could have been. But looking back, it's like maybe after my first enlistment, that would have been something I would have looked into. But after the second, I think kind of I was just mentally checked out and ready to move on to bigger and better things.
So that was when you went on that deployment?
Came back from deployment. After I came back from deployment, I had my enlistment papers for my third enlistment, and that was like the third enlistment. Once you get there, it's like you're in it for the 20, right? Because at that point you're done. You're at 4 years. You're already more than halfway. It's like why not? So I had a big decision ahead of me, and luckily my wife, who supported me the whole time we were married, and I was in the Marine Corps for 4.5, 5 years while I was in the Marine Corps. She was with me and supported my decision. She was like, if you're not happy, like, then it's not something, like, she's like, don't do it for me, like, do it because you want to do it. So I was luckily I had that kind of support system from her, and then that led me to kind of like where my career path is today.
That's beautiful. Having someone who has your back like that and your interests in mind is not always something that we come by.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And she was a pilot.
Well, not in the military.
Right.
She's a nurse in the Army Reserve, but then
cool.
She became a helicopter pilot. After I got out, we moved to southern Utah, and she went to school to become a helicopter pilot, where she did that for a little over a year then, until we had our son this past July. So she obviously couldn't fly with that.
Right.
But she's itching. Thank you. She's itching to get back for sure. Yeah.
So I want to rewind a little bit here. You mentioned something that is probably a very, very tough decision, right? Like I'm in, I get my first experience where it's like, holy shit, this is cool, right? Like I actually enjoy this. And there's probably other things, and maybe this played a role, but like administrative BS or whatever it is, where you're kind of like, ugh, but I hate that. Walk me through that decision process. Like you're at a time where you saw the Raiders, and like, maybe that's something I'd want to go and do.
Yeah.
You're building a family. Walk me through that.
I think that was ultimately a choice too, was like wanting to build a family, and also having kind of the freedom, where the Marine Corps doesn't necessarily give you that freedom. The military in general doesn't give you necessarily the freedom to start a family and be there for your family,
a little
right?
bit odds, yeah.
I knew that if we were to start a family, I didn't necessarily want to be gone all the time.
Right.
I wanted to be there for now my son. Now I want to be there for like him to grow up. I like, and not to say like, if you're in the military, you're not going to be there for sure, but it makes it a lot harder. And I think that people that are in the military have issues, like a lot of times, with like that family side of it.
Sure.
And because being in the military is a big stressor, especially like you have your own kids at work, basically, like, especially when you get into your leadership positions. It's like, it feels like you're dealing with kids.
Yeah, man.
So then you come home and you have your own kid to deal with. And it's kind of one of those things where are you mentally all there when you get home from work? And that was one of the things I had seen some of leadership, and I was just like, I don't really want to be like that, where they're all gung ho, and like, you're like, but are you really there for like your family at home? Like they're at work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they don't leave till 8 o'clock in the evening. And you're like, that's not what I wanted to be personally.
Right.
So that was a big factor. And then also just kind of having your freedom again, I think. One of the things I will say I miss is like the structure and like the camaraderie and like the kind of team that you have, but like just having freedom to kind of make your own choices and kind of travel, like grow a beard. Yeah. Like just, that was one of the big things too. And as you get up there in leadership positions, like obviously your responsibilities become more, and it's not that I didn't want responsibilities. It's just like, I just didn't know if I was in it for the right reasons anymore.
You had a value difference.
Yeah.
And I totally can appreciate that. And I think that, one of the things that, if I were to relate to this at all, very early on, I remember it in TBS, so the basic school for me, they stressed something that I took very much to heart. And I think we all do, of like, hey, you're going to face a time in your career where you have a Marine that potentially is like, wants to take their life, or whatever. Like I'm out in town, I get in trouble, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you have to pause your family life. You have to pause your home life and put that Marine first.
Yeah.
Right. And I know me personally, I took that very seriously to the detriment of my relationship. Right. I mean, no one wants to feel second or third. And I get that we all have this, like, we're doing it for a reason. We're serving something bigger than ourselves. And our personal relationships can take that very personally, right? Oh, wait, I'm not first. Right. And that's hard. That's a hard thing to do. And I see you and I see what you're saying. Like, that value difference is okay. We all have different things and they come at different points in our life. Yeah. Right. And I will say that if we take that mindset out into the civilian world, a lot of times where we're like, all of a sudden now, like, oh no, this is more important. This is more important. That can lead to some big problems in relationships and stuff that you may not always want. Yeah.
And it's like, I love the Marine Corps for that, where it's like your leadership, like it's like a brotherhood, right? Like everyone puts the other Marines above themselves, right? Yeah. And I was all about that for my first enlistment and probably a little into my second enlistment, but then it kind of just started like fading off, where I'm like, you have like these kids that are coming in and it's like they're so like immature and you're just trying to like, it's like it's just like, it's like herding cats, you know?
It is like herding.
And kind of after that,
leadership is hard, man.
Yeah, leadership is definitely hard, and I learned a lot of things from it. But I just think for me, I got to a point where I don't necessarily know if I was going to be the right leader for my Marines. And I think that also helped kind of like transition me out of the military, like kind of helped that decision where I'm like, made like I said, I like mentally, I just wasn't in anymore. So I knew that in the future, I didn't think I was gonna give it my all, like, and I think that's would be to the detriment of the Marine Corps or to the unit, right? So
yeah.
I think that also kind of helped.
Well, I commend you for that honesty. I know that I've been in positions too where like it's hard to make a decision like that, and ultimately, just the other day, I got offered like a really, really cool, someone wanted to nominate me for like office in like a local board, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I'm truly humbled, but I would be doing a disservice to everything else that I have going on and you guys if I did that. Yeah. Really mature, of you to actually make that decision. Okay, cool. So you do make the decision. Yeah. Was there anything lingering?
Lingering as in
like when you actually then enacted the decision.
Oh yeah. 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 Like, I think when I decided to get out and I signed, like I had said, I had the re-enlistment paperwork in front of me and it was all filled out, ready to go. I signed it and I'm in for another 4 years. And then I kind of made the decision that I didn't want to do that. And I started the transition out. And I think starting those classes, like what classes there are, and like, and I think that's another issue with the military, obviously in general, is like the transition preparedness, which you're really not prepared, and they do what they think they're doing, like they can the most, but I don't think necessarily that's the case. But just kind of learning, like they're just you're not going to have a set schedule, you're not going to know what you're doing, you're on your own, right? Like, and I think that's kind of where I was like, am I making like the right choice? It's like I kind of appreciated that for the last 8 years, like knowing what I was supposed to be doing, right? Especially when you're doing the same job, like you have your MLS, you're doing the same job, you know what you're doing. Obviously, as you move up in leadership positions, obviously you take on some more responsibilities, but generally your job stays the same. And most Marine Corps units, they have the same like schedule, right? Like your PT in the morning when you go to work, and then you're off, or your PT in the afternoon or whatever, and then you're off, and then you're on call, right? Until you're on call once you're like a corporal and above, right? You're on call for anything that's going on, right? Especially when you live at the barracks, is like you're the NCO in the barracks, right? Then you're on call for if anyone's doing anything stupid. So yeah, definitely like that was like not and also not knowing, right? Like
Yeah.
not knowing what comes next. It's like I kind of started school while I was like transitioning. Like once I figured out that I wasn't going to stay in, I did kind of take school more seriously.
Yeah.
I had started because I had a good friend of mine kind of teach me about like things that benefits that you have that I think not a lot of service members take advantage of, and that's like
Such as?
tuition assistance.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think maybe I heard about it, but didn't know about it. And I didn't know, like, while you're in each year, they give you money to take college classes, and it basically covers, right, your college classes for that year, obviously up to a certain point, depending on the school. But there's a lot of programs that have, like, they have a VA branch of their school, so they know kind of how to kind of put you through school utilizing that. And I really wish I would have known about that sooner. So that's another thing I would tell veterans, like, or service members that are in now, is definitely utilize tuition assistance if you know you want to go to school and you know you want to get a degree and you're going to get out. Because then you get out, you can already, if you start early enough, you can already have a degree when you get out.
Yeah.
You can also save your GI Bill after you get out to do anything else, you know.
So is that tuition assistance, is that the same as GI Bill? Is that separate?
No, so it comes out of a different pot, right? So you can use tuition assistance, and it comes out of a separate pot. It doesn't touch your GI Bill. So you have basically free money to go to school while you're actively serving. That won't touch your benefits outside, and then you're just knocking away school while you're in. And I think the challenge with that, though, is doing school while you're in, because
For sure, especially if you have a family.
yeah, if you have a family, if your job, like you have a lot of things going on in your job, just finding the time for that.
Right.
But I think some schools do a really good job at their courses being set up if specifically for veterans. There's programs out there that make it easy, right? Or to like start and pause, or like we'll have
Maybe you're a part-time student.
part-time
One or
student,
two.
right? Yeah. Just doing like a couple classes. But I mean, even knocking like your generals out while you're serving, like that would be a big help when you get out.
And do you know how you qualify for that?
I mean, I don't really think there's any qualification steps. I think you
Really?
just have to apply. Like you find a school, right, that you want, and I think the school generally just has to accept like VA benefits.
Right.
So I know you probably have to go to a school that one has like an online, right, or like a satellite campus. I know Camp Pendleton, I believe, had a satellite campus for different schools.
Oh, you mean like on base?
On base.
Yeah.
But-
Or like American University or something.
But I did, I found a school that, National University, for anybody wondering, I found a school, and their veteran, like their program in general is very veteran friendly or active duty service member friendly. And yeah, so you just, I believe your unit will have a representative that can help you with tuition assistance. It's kind of just one of those things you kind of have to reach out to your admin, and they'll know who to point you to. And I believe there's probably like a form you just have to fill out with your school, what degree you're going towards, and then it kind of just sets up and it automatically pays until you're out of money, which for the most part, I think if you're using it, the school will set it up to like kind of spread you out throughout the year.
Right.
And so you're not having to worry about it. And then at the beginning of the new fiscal year, that money refreshes and you have it. I don't know what I think it's like $4,500 or something like that a year.
Okay.
So obviously, depending on the school, right? But I think if
Go to Harvard, that's not going to cut.
Yeah. I mean, I think the smart thing to do while you're in would be to find a school that would cover like the generals, and then transfer your credits, what you get out. And then some schools often you can transfer some of your skills from the military, and that'll cover they'll give you some credit.
They'll give you credits for that. That's really cool, man. So did you do that while you were in? Yeah.
So I did that. I think I started that before my deployment. And then obviously I paused it for the deployment and didn't want to be doing school on deployment. And then started back up. But my issue was not knowing what I wanted to do. I think I swapped degree paths like 3 or 4 times, which thankfully all the generals are usually the same. Depending, I think switching to computer science, I had to take a different math. So I had to do one extra like general that I wouldn't have had to done if I had stayed on another degree. I was like going for like military history, and then I was going for like a law degree because the U.S. Marshals had come to
TAP.
Yeah, they had
job fair.
They had come and they were like talking about how like what they do and things. I was like, that could be interesting. And then I looked into it more, and it's like you're just standing duty for like 24 hours. It's like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, there's a time and a place. I think that you probably made the right call, especially when you think about the values and the reason you were getting out to begin with.
Yeah.
So I think this actually illustrates a really beautiful point. Is like when you're transitioning out, there are a lot of options, and some of that's very scary because like you said, you have the structure, where to be, when to be there, like what to say, what to wear, like all of that. You're given your haircuts, you're given like, I don't know where that is, but like you're given like all of this stuff. And then it's like all of a sudden figure it out. And on top of that, you now have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to figure that out too, which is a lot. It's a whole lot. And I think that I like that you're illustrating this, two things. One being that it's okay if you don't know at first.
So for sure. Yeah. And that's, one thing that I wish somebody had kind of told me that, because I think I stressed out about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to find what I'm going to do before I get out. Like there's no way I can get out.
It's to be so decisive.
Yeah. And I was like, there's no way I can get out and not know what I'm doing. And thankfully, through a family friend, I kind of got pushed into like the software engineering side. So
how did that happen?
Yeah. So my wife's cousin had done a boot camp and software boot camps. That was kind of when they were starting to become a thing. And I actually think they're kind of dying down, because I think companies aren't really seeing boot camps as being like real world like education or experience, which I would disagree with. I think I learned a lot in a very short period of time, and it helped me get my first job that I had gotten. And she was just like, hey, like you're transitioning out. I don't know like what your plan is, but I just finished this boot camp. I got this really cool job out of it. I learned a lot. If this is something you're interested, you should check it out. And it was a boot camp in Utah, which is like where my wife and I were moving anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So I looked into it. I met with like the guy that was running it, and we had a conversation about what I wanted to do. And he was like, yeah, like we take like we have a veteran like a VA like person here that
cool.
And they had a couple veterans there as well, and I met with him, and he was like talking to me about the program, and like that they take like the GI Bill, and it was only going to take like a portion of my benefits. Once I finished that boot camp, it used the GI Bill. I still have enough GI Bill after doing that boot camp to finish my degree.
Oh, that's cool. So it's cool that it took the GI Bill.
Yeah. And so I think that I don't necessarily know if most do take the GI Bill.
Mine did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think now they're like an accredited, they like got wrapped into like schools, like programs. So I think that was they were probably on their way to that. So the GI Bill kind of saw that. And
and there's ways around that. Like I used VRNE.
Yeah.
Which, so I guess the point that I wanted to make there too is that like when you go to TAP or any of these other job fairs, you see a lot of the same thing. And like I guess what I was trying to paint the picture of is, we're in a point where we're vulnerable because the security is gone. Who am I even? Like all that is gone, and you want to then seek security. I need something.
Yeah.
And most people, when they get out, then, okay, what's familiar? TAP, job fairs. Oh, there's marshals, there's security guards, there's ICE, there's
police, like just going to the police department.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that. If that's your cup of tea, sweet. I would also urge you to maybe go out there and explore a little bit, because a lot of the beautiful things that you're pointing out here is that like you were given a lot of skills and ability in the military, in the Marine Corps, that has led you to be successful in this capacity.
Yeah.
So those soft skills, okay, so we didn't have the hard skill of like programming. It's I can't, right? But like the soft skills of like leadership or to communicate. Take it from someone who has worked in the engineering world for a while. a lot of engineers struggle when it comes to communication.
Mhm.
And your ability to communicate and be a leader and a problem solver in this space is indispensable.
Mhm.
Those are the people that are truly successful in this capacity.
Yeah.
And I would urge you to take all of that ability that you got and bring that out to the real world, because that is where you shine.
And I think a lot of transitioning like service members or veterans, like you said, they latch onto something that's like familiar and what they think that their skills most evenly kind of would point them towards. But I would urge you to kind of look out and see like what you're actually interested in and kind of chase that. Like those fallbacks, right? Like the police board, something like that.
They'll always be there.
They'll always be there.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a needed thing. So it's like if you go and kind of move on to like a job that's kind of out there, or something that you're kind of, it's like a niche and it doesn't work out, there's always things to fall back, and we don't like to fall back. I know like you kind of have like your goal and you want to do that, but I think most like service members, veterans, they should try for it. Like you've done something already that's like most people don't do.
Yes.
So the chances of you being able to do something again that maybe not most people do is higher than if you weren't going to try at all, you know?
Well, we're also given discipline.
Yeah.
And the knowledge of how to be resourceful, right?
Mhm.
Like that's some skill. These are skills, right? Like you're given commander's intent. You're not told how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Just go get it done. All right. Well, I'll get it done. Right. But that's so valuable, man. Like the problem solving piece of that is so incredibly valuable. You can take it anywhere.
Mhm.
Right. I can think of like, when I think of like, you know, I'll again leverage engineering world. If you think of any of these big companies, and we've talked about this extensively on this podcast at this point.
Yeah.
It's the will. I will do the job versus I can do the job. Now, I get it though. I do want to not discount anyone's experience here, because the point of the matter is you're at this dichotomy, you're at this branch in the road where everyone has a need for security. And all of that's being stripped away. And now you're trying to grasp that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Most people coming out of the military don't last beyond 6 months at their first job for exactly the reason you're illustrating. There's probably a way to balance that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I commend you for taking that leap of faith too.
Yeah. And I think just not losing faith in yourself, right? Like, I think that's kind of what people might struggle with a lot. When I finished that boot camp, it took me maybe over a year to then land my first job.
Okay.
And during that time, I was just like, this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to like, there's no way, like, I'm not a software engineer. Like, that's not what I did. That's not what I'm going to do. And like, again, having a support system, I think that's also super strong, is like finding a support system. Like,
Talk to me about that. What's the support system?
So just having like, friends like that I had worked with previously that had gotten out and they were doing like, they had transitioned into tech, or like, again, go back to like my wife. And I know not everyone's like fortunate enough to like have that. But for me, she was a big supporter of mine, and she was like, no, like she would calm me down and be like, no, like it's going to happen. Like you spend all this time and effort, like it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. Right. Like you have all these skills, right? Like might not necessarily be what they're looking for on paper, but someone's going to notice those skills and someone's going to take the risk. And risk is I mean, I think that's a big companies, right? Like it's risk for them, right?
Absolutely.
If you're not exactly on paper what they have, but someone's going to take a risk, and then you're going to show them that like they made a good decision, and that's ultimately what happened.
So she was a good friend.
To me. So yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, I mean, just kind of having a support system really benefits you. And that doesn't necessarily need to be people you know, right? Like there's plenty of groups out there. There's plenty of veterans groups out there that you can like reach out to, find like the veterans all over, right? Like me and you, we found each other. Like you're in Allentown and I'm like 30 minutes away. It's like, what are the odds? And now we're like working together. And so there's people out there. You kind of just have to look and not give up. But having that faith in yourself, like don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams, right? Like, like you can pretty much do like whatever you put your mind towards, right? Like, I think that's kind of as like what your parents say to you when you're a kid, right? But I mean, I think, I think it's true, right?
That's
and,
true.
Like you said, having those soft skills, like for me, precision weapons, maintainer is just like, if I were to just transfer those skills, I'd be like a gunsmith working at like a mom and pop shop, like gunsmith somewhere, like fixing granddad's like hunting rifle, you know, like, but I knew that's not like, it's a hobby, like could be a hobby of mine. It's a passion of mine. It's something I'm interested in, but I knew that's not what I wanted my kind of career to be. But like you said, like problem solving, a lot of my job was problem solving. A lot of my job was QA, so quality assurance. And those are two big things in the software engineering space. So it's like those skills are transferable. They might not be from the same like work experience, but it's a transferable skill that's always going to be with you, right? Like, and just being programmed to think problem solving and QA, like you're just programmed and wired now to think about that. And that's something that I take with me in my job. It's like something that I always think about. Or just like ways of thinking, right? Like problem solving, just having that kind of your brain wired up to think about different ways, how to break problems down and kind of how to attack them, right? And that's something that I leverage even now that I've been out almost 5 years now.
Yeah, man, I totally hear you. And actually I totally agree. And I think that, again, you're illustrating something that is important. Looking at what your job was in the military, whatever it may have been, zoom out a little bit, right? It wasn't just, working on precision weapons. It's like, oh no, like I'm also a leader. I'm also I know how to communicate. I'm also doing sales, right? How often do you now have to like sell the commander on something, or like, you have an idea or a plan and you have to get it across? That's sales, right?
And the management,
right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are super transferable. It just may take calming down a little bit, obviously, because of the security piece. Like we need that, right? But then zoom out, challenge yourself and be like, okay, what are the different fields out there? I mean, like finances, that's problem solving too.
Yeah.
Right. It's just numbers. Maybe you were, someone who was doing maybe you were doing inventory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all very transferable. So getting out, like you went and got your first job. Help me break down like the journey there. Like what was it like getting your first job? What was it like getting into that first job?
Yeah. So, like I said, I had finished like that software engineering boot camp, and they have like at the end of it, they put you on a project, and it's like real world kind of experience.
Cool.
They have like some companies that are kind of like partnered with them to kind of give you some like easy tasks. So I worked on, they had, a Firebase cool. They had an application running on Firebase, and they were having some bugs with it. So I got to do some experience with like debugging like their Firebase, like how that was set up.
Super.
Do I remember any of that now? Not really. Have I used it at all? No.
Yeah. Don't worry, you will.
Yeah. But then they give you like some resume writing help, and
cool.
Like the Marine Corps, like military in general, they do that. Now, do they really help you in any way that's kind of meaningful with your resume? I wouldn't really say so. I don't think my resume was very strong coming out of the military. But they had a resume like writing portion of it, and it was more like tech focused, right? And so I think definitely that's another thing that's important, is your resume kind of tailoring it to the field that you want to go to.
Yeah.
You just have like a generalized kind of resume when you come out of like your transition program, and that might be different now, right? I hope it's different now. Who knows? But
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean ChatGPT.
Just say it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had a resume and kind of finding jobs, like looking to see what I wanted to do. I did that at first, and that didn't really get me anywhere. And that kind of, that was like the first crushing part, is where you're like 6 months go by and you're putting all these resumes out, and half the time you're not even getting a response. That's really, and I think that's just the issue with like I think maybe, I don't know if it's necessarily just the software engineering world.
It's not. It's been a tough job market for like the last 5-ish years.
Yeah. So I think that's just been an issue with the job market in general. No feedback, right? And it's like, but that's just something now I've kind of come to expect. So just pushing my resume out and then branching off of that, like learning what other jobs could my skills land me, right?
Yeah.
So that's why my first position was as a quality assurance engineer,
Right.
but in software.
Yeah.
And then so I kind of targeted myself towards that. And I had the skills for it, right? Like 8 years of quality assurance and problem solving in the Marine Corps. So that really helped me, as well as like the communication. And like you said, mentioned it, like especially in the software engineering, like communication is hard to come by because you have these super smart people, but they aren't really used to communicating with people. And I think especially now in like a remote world, it's like,
dude, it's COVID that too.
So it's even different because now you're just like talking to someone through a camera. If you even turn on your camera for a meeting, you know, some places don't even require that. So it's like you're not even talking face to face. And then you have the people that just have issues communicating with like what they're doing or what they need help with. And that's one of the things I learned as well quick is like, you're not an expert. Like you might think you're an expert or you might think you have all this experience, but ask questions, right?
Yes.
But yeah, so it took me, like I said, a little over a year. And I did get hired for a quality assurance position. And at the time I was like, oh man, I really wanted to be a software engineer, but I had to think like, everyone's got to start somewhere.
Right.
And
it's a journey.
I think, and I met a lot of people along the way that like, I started my software engineering journey as a quality assurance engineer, and now I've been doing it for a decade, even more.
Right.
So it's not all too different from how a lot of people get there. And
stepping stone.
Yeah.
Right.
And the company I got hired on for, they had promised, like there was like a kind of like a handshake that like, yeah, we'll get you to software engineer. And I'm happy, and I owe it to them that they followed through on that promise and got me to where I am today, because I could have just spent my 3.5, almost 4 years with them as a quality assurance engineer. And then I would have been moving on with only that experience, and I wouldn't be able to move on to a software engineering position necessarily.
Well, don't sell yourself short there.
Yeah.
Because you could have just as easily gone in there and like not done anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not made the best of the quality assurance engineering position.
Yeah, I definitely made sure that I put in the work because I wanted them to see that like you took a risk on me, I'm paying that back so that you'll take a risk on me again in the future and put me into a software engineering position. And they did. And through that, I learned so much, and it definitely was a big jump. And I don't necessarily think I was ready for it, but I learned a lot from the people that I worked with. And like I said before, like asking questions, that communication, being able to clearly like identify what my problems are and what I need help with in a manner that's going to be helpful for the team to understand. Right. And that kind of really helped boost my productivity, my efficiency, and kind of learning and as well as like knowing what questions to ask and where to look for resources. Right. That's a challenge, especially now. There's so many resources out there. There's a lot of good resources out there, and then maybe not some great resources out there, but just depending, like just leaning on the people that you work with and kind of having that comfortability. And maybe that's not necessarily everywhere that you have that you feel that way.
No, it can be cultural difference.
Yeah. So there's certainly finding a company with that culture that like aligns with yours. I know that.
Oh my God.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, but that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, working for someone that is absolutely miserable or you hate, like that, I know this is cliche, but life is too short.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So definitely. And the culture that I found was great. And it helped foster me into kind of what I could be, right? They helped me see my potential. And it was kind of a good ego boost for me. But I still obviously like imposter syndrome is out there. And it's like, I think like I could be doing like the easiest thing. And I'm like, am I even doing this right? It's like, it's like, I'm just need to put some text on like a web page. Is this the way that it's supposed to be done? Is there a better way to be doing this? It's like, that's a struggle that I think, not necessarily just in the engineering space, but I think it's prevalent, very prevalent in the engineering space. And a lot of people I've talked to.
Well, the stakes are high.
Yeah. A lot of people I've talked to that have, like I said, decades of experience, they still are like, am I doing this the correct way? And But I think people being able to identify that, like identify it, understand it, but not let it hold you back, right? Is like in the engineering side, push the PR up and let people review it, right? That's the only way you're going to learn. It's like, don't be afraid to look dumb. And I think as veterans, that's something that we have issues with, because whether you got out at 4 years, 8 years, retired, you're the expert in your field, right? Like that's your MOS. That's what you're doing. You're known for that. Like you're the subject matter expert, like the SME, as they say. Like, so not being that anymore once you get out and transferring into a new job, that's a really difficult concept to grasp.
It is.
But I think if you can get over that and know that that's not you anymore and you're not expected to be that anymore, like there's a time and place for that, right? Like as you move up, like we go back to like software engineering because that's our career thing. But as you move up into like a leadership, like then obviously you're expected to be like a subject matter expert.
Let's put this in context. When you first joined the military, I don't know if maybe you heard this, but I know I did. Like, in order to be a good leader, you need to be what?
Like good learner.
A good follower.
A good follower, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We were all white belts at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I love this corollary of like, if in, martial arts, you go from white belt to black belt, and then where do you go? Back to white belt. Right? Like you put on a black uniform, and some of them anyway, you put on like a black uniform and you get a white belt again, right? Like, but there's, I can't remember what book this was I read. I think it was Zen Guitar, I think is actually what it was. But like in the book, he talks about how you walk through, the white belt to black belt. And I think the metaphor is supposed to be, as you continue wearing it, it gets dirty because you're like putting in the work and it becomes dark, but then you trade in for a new belt at some point, it's white again.
Yeah.
Right. But that whole idea of like in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. It's because that cycle never ends. You have to be able to like look dumb. And in fact, I think one of my favorite things to do, like at Meta, is like, how can I look dumb today? It's a game. You know what I mean? It's a game. And then now like don't like obviously like do something negligent. But like it's instead putting yourself out there in a way that could be very uncomfortable. Dude, these podcasts, first couple episodes, look back, they're awkward. You know what I mean? Like, but it was putting yourself out there to like, I'm now gaining the experience, I'm getting the reps, I'm getting better. So I do think that like there's something that is hard and it's ego. Right. And ego is, we've talked about this before too, like to protect us. But in this case, it's actually hurting us instead of protecting us. So let's put ourselves out there and learn a little thing.
And I think that's like, I mean, how you learn the most, right? Like you got to like learn by failure, kind of learn from your mistakes. Like, all
right. So like at this point, you've gotten out, now you're, software engineer, still in the market. And, but we're working together now, which is cool. So again, find people who can bet on you. Actually, I guess I've really shared this about my own journey. So like when I was getting out, I also went to a boot camp, and me, it was medical, right? So like I couldn't do my MOS stuff anymore. Right. And so I went to a boot camp and I realized very quickly, like the boot camp, the coding boot camp was really, really good at teaching me how to write code and really, really good at teaching me how to pick up new frameworks and libraries. But it didn't teach me how to be an engineer. Right. Like that was the gap. And I was like, So, I mean, take advantage of the programs out there. I was very lucky to be able to go to Stanford for some computer science classes. Right. But I guess the point that I'm trying to illustrate though, was that when I got out, so I was doing this all while I was on med board. So like, I had all the time. Right. And I would urge you to take advantage of that if you can. But like when I got out, then I had a job lined up and I got laid off literally the day before I started. I was supposed to start on like August 31st or something like that. Right. My separation date was like August 17th, I think. And I called up the recruiter and I was like, hey man, what do I need to wear? Like, I had no idea, where am I supposed to meet you? And he goes like, oh, they didn't tell you? And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, no, the position has been canceled. I'm like, I'm getting out, in like
Yeah.
2 weeks. I have a family. When were you going to tell me this? And to the point of, again, putting yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
I had, fortunately, there was an extension on Chrome at one point, it might still be there, where you could literally have it connect with people on LinkedIn that meet certain criteria. And like, that's what I did. So when I was at the boot camp, I literally I would set that thing to connect with like 100 software engineers and engineering managers a day, and I built up, I think when I got out of the military, my LinkedIn profile had like 5,000 connections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the beauty of connection, right? Is that at that point, when they were like, hey, you're laid off, what I did was I put myself out there on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, this is who I am. These are like, this is what I got. And at this point I didn't have Stanford. And I'm just like, please, something. And it was through the network specifically of military veterans that then went, hey, job, what do you call, like, hiring manager, take a look at this guy. And I got 3 interviews and my first job off of that post, just because I was willing to make that post.
Yeah. And that's something that I would urge a lot of transitioning service members to do. Is LinkedIn is really important. I think it's kind of,
we met.
Yeah, it's kind of straying away from that now. It's kind of becoming more of a social media platform, I think.
In ways.
But connections, like, that's one of like the biggest tips I think I would give to transitioning service members, is make those connections. And that the jobs will almost come to you through those connections. It's like, even if it's not a direct connection, connection of a connection that'll come across that and be like, okay, I know this person, he's worked with this person or knows this person.
That's right.
Why not reach out to them rather than just some random person that has no connection to me, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like, jobs that I've been getting, like, people have been reaching out to me have been like connections through my previous work.
100%.
And that's the ones that I've gotten, like, either the furthest in or that are still in communication with me are through my previous connections. And I think most of the time, like, your job is probably going to come from a connection.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're teasing at something else here. And you talked about it earlier. I want to bring it back into the light. Deliver value up front. Don't come out there and expect that something's going to be given to you. Go out there and lead with value. Go and deliver value above and beyond.
Yeah.
Don't expect anything in return.
And I think one of the things that I was kind of misled on when I was transitioning out was like, oh, you're a veteran, like, job's going to take you. I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. I don't necessarily think people
What do you mean by that? Job's going to take you?
Well, like, because they tell you, like, oh, you have all these, like, skills, like, you were in the military, you have, like, these soft skills, or you have, like, people want military members because they're disciplined, and things like that.
Show up on time.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I don't know if it's just like a cultural shift in the job market, where I don't know if relying necessarily on you being a veteran is going to put you above somebody else. Now,
I mean, just the label.
Yeah, just the label as a veteran. Like you said, I think you definitely have to, like, put yourself out there. You have to show how you can add value, what you're doing to better yourself, and what you're going to bring to the table that's better, and just not relying on being a veteran. And I think, like I said, I was kind of led to believe when I was getting out, like, oh, you're a veteran, like, that's going to put you, like, if there's 5 people applying for a job, that's going to put you in the top, like, 2. It's going to be because you're a veteran and they know that you're going to show up on time, you're disciplined, like, you're reliable. And that's not really the case unless they're specifically looking for, like, a veteran. Like, obviously there's companies like Northrop Grumman and
Greek Castle. We had Joe on a couple weeks ago. They're all veteran.
Yeah. And I think they look a lot of times for veterans, but if you don't have those skills necessarily, then obviously that
doesn't matter if you're a veteran.
It doesn't matter if you're a veteran.
Yeah,
like, there are companies out there, right, that look for veterans, but I think most civilian companies, like, aren't specifically looking for veterans,
or don't know how to translate your skills.
And that's another issue, is, like, not knowing how to translate your skills, right? Like, you can't say, I led 5 Marines to do, like, this and this on a, like, daily. It's like, no company's gonna read that and be like, okay, that's a transferable skill. It's learning how to transfer your skills.
Those are just
you got to transfer your skills into the civilian market and show that that's how you add value. And that's an issue too. I don't really like, I think it's something that they hit on when I was transitioning out, but not necessarily something that they could help with. And that goes back to your point, like ChatGPT. If you can list in a bullet point what you did in the military and say, hey, translate this for this specific field, for this industry, or just translate these into something that's like more civilian friendly.
Yeah. And dude, take your entire resume, ChatGPT, take your past 5 fit reps or whatever they're called, whatever the range you're in, dump it in ChatGPT, take the job description that you're looking for, dump it in there and be like, make this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's magic.
It's crazy how similar fit reps in the Marine Corps, how similar those are to like what needs to be in your resume, and then also talking points when you're in an interview, right? That was something I hated though, is like writing about like trying to like toot your own horn and paper.
Yeah. And we're taught not to do that.
So it's something that I struggled with early on with my resume, but I think I've gotten better with that, and that's helped a lot. Is like companies want to know how you're going to add value and how you're going to impact them,
right?
And not showing any of that. They're just going to be like, I just don't want to take the risk, especially like you had mentioned before, is like the job market is so tough right now. It's like if you're not going to immediately deliver value or impact them in a positive way, they're probably not going to take the chance on you.
Well, but I think that's why exactly what I'm saying there, of like delivering value up front and like making that the mindset. Mindset is so important, because if you have a track record of doing that, you know, you're showing someone, again, like we talked about, is will do the job, right? Like, and you're showing someone that you have a track record of delivering value, you know. And by the way, these are the same things that will keep you from getting laid off.
Yeah, because
you're delivering value. It'll be the same thing that's going to keep you like sharp, because you're doing what it may take to learn a skill like while you're outside, and is how you continue to nurture connections with people that will then want to put themselves out there for you, because they can vouch for the fact that you're going to do what we say you're going to do, and that you're all about delivering value on the front side. I think that in this culture today, and I don't even mean just military, the culture today is very much so like, what's in it for me?
Yeah,
you know. The interesting thing is, if you play the long game, it works for you.
Yeah, it'll work.
Don't play the short game. Play the long game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a checkers match. It's a chess game. You know, you're not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
And I think that like that mindset combined with what you beautifully illustrated here of like taking the job as maybe a QA manager and then putting the value out there and then converting from there is important. You know, like I get people that reach out to me on like LinkedIn all the time that are like, you know, literally the college graduating kids, like, oh my God, I really need to go to like one of the FANG companies. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, hey, first off, take a breath. You know what I mean? You're 22.
Yeah.
You know, like
you have time.
Enjoy the journey. I'm 40 years old. You know how long it took me to get to like Meta? Like it is not a slow or not a fast process. It's a journey. And if instead you can find ways to enjoy I love how Alex Ramosi says this, right? Like, enjoy the middle. Find a way to enjoy the middle, because it's not just about what you achieve.
Yeah.
First off, when you get to that point of achievement, how long is that exciting to last?
Yeah.
Right? Like a day, maybe 2 days. And then it's like, well, what's next? Learn to enjoy the middle. And then now all of a sudden, the entire thing's enjoyable. You're putting in the value and you're going to get what you want on the backside anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So I love that you've been able to keep such a really powerful mindset, and that you've had this community that's helped you get where you've gone. And you really do. You have a great mindset, and I really admire that about you.
And I will admit though, it hasn't always been that way, and I do struggle, right? Like I think everyone struggles like keeping that mindset.
For sure.
But then it falls back on having that good support system, right? Like reaching out to like your connections. Like the other day, there's like personal / like professional matter question that I was comfortable enough to like reach out to you and like ask for your opinion on it. And that kind of like helped me step back from the situation and be like, okay, it's not like as big of a deal as like I might be making it out to be. So having that support system, and then that keeps you kind of on that correct mindset, right?
Yeah. I totally agree with that. What are there any what has helped develop that mindset in you aside from community, or is it all community that's done that for you?
Obviously community's big, but like, once you like reach those goals, like having like that, like inflating your ego, I guess, like, but then also using that to be like, but you can do it, right? Like, if I hadn't gotten that first position and like then got transferred, would I still be like on the same path? Probably not. But once you hit that, just be like, okay, I hit the first milestone, right? So I can do it, right? It might not have been the goal, but like you said, like the journey is like,
Right.
you got to enjoy the journey of getting there. Hitting that first milestone and being like, okay, well,
It's a confidence builder.
it's like I did this, right? Like, and there's a potential that if I do good and I put in the effort, like I'll get to my next goal. And then just having that confidence, right, off of that first goal, and just seeing that you can, as long as you're starting from somewhere, right, like you could make it there. And then I hit my next goal and became a software engineer. And that's kind of helped me in this time where now I'm transitioning into another like job opportunity. It hasn't destroyed my confidence, or hasn't like hurt me in any way where I'm back to the point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
So like milestones, like remembering that, right? Like I got let go, and obviously that sucks, but I went back. Well, I started from not having any experience, and I got picked up. Well, now I have almost 4 years of experience. It's like, that's going to be valuable to somebody. It's like, I have all of this experience. Now, when I go into an interview, I can talk and know what I'm talking about and have the confidence because I've done it. So it just kind of like builds upon itself. Like, you just have to hit that first goal. And that's why, like, have like your overall goal, but then have like, I forget where they say it, but like a more obtainable goals, right? Like, you want to have like steps to get to your final goal.
Your milestones.
Yeah, like your milestones. You just want to make those obtainable. And that's something that I kind of I didn't have right away. And then something that I kind of wish I had like thought about that more. And maybe that's something that I learned during the transition process. But
what was there, like a book or a resource or a podcast or like something that helped offer that mindset?
Not necessarily. Okay. No. I think maybe just like seeing veterans in the space, like transitioning and getting in, like making it, right? Like seeing that, like
inspiration.
Yeah, like getting inspiration. Like, you've worked with, I guarantee there's some, like, you've worked with somebody that if you look back, they're doing something completely different. Like, they're made it into like a crazy industry that you never would have thought. Like, and if they can do it, well, like, why can't you do it?
Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time it is just the mindset where a lot of people struggle with, not thinking that they can do it, but you can do it as long as you just don't want to set your sights too high, right? Like, if you're like, I'm gonna own a company that makes $100 million. It's like, well, you're not going to start there.
You're not going to start there.
You're not going to start there. And you need to understand that you're not going to start there.
Yeah. I think that this is a challenging skill for some people. And I've had some very interesting conversations recently about this because, I think that some people have a hard time seeing that far or visualizing themselves doing something. And the time range at which we see can be very different among people. And I'll go for instance here, right? Like, so for me, like and I don't know where this came from, but like I have the tendency to look really, really far out. Like, I want to build something that's like 20 years out. I have a retirement goal. Like, I know what I want to do in my retirement. You know what I mean? Like, and what that allows me to then do is then take that, chop it up into a bunch of pieces, and then back up and then arrange those pieces over the number of years that I'm going to be working on it. And I'm like, this is the next thing. This is the next thing. Yeah. And I don't know that I was always like that. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I found that personally I need to challenge myself because I expected other people to do that as well. And I'll give you, for instance, there's a guy that I went to high school with that, you know, he's struggling with homelessness right now. And, you know, I'm trying to talk to the guy, you know, this mindset stuff. I'm trying to like, hey, how do we help you with like mindset and stuff? Like, because to me, I see the importance of it. Right. And I understand, like, I'm not trying to like say it's everything, but it's like 80%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, I'm trying to give him some coaching there. And I gave him, and this was wrong of me to do, was I was like, let's dream, man. Hey, what would be like no holds bar, like something you accomplish in like 5-10 years. And he ghosted me. Right. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just really hard, you know, like in my own mind, I have this own story and narrative going on, like, you know, oh, well, maybe this is why, and that's wrong. And I apologize if you're watching, like I should not be thinking like that.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was he came back like a week or two later and he was like, hey man, so I did get a chance to think about these goals. And he's like, and right now I can't even, like, my goals are like, I want an apartment building or an apartment that I have a roommate with. And I don't want to dumpster dive anymore. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, wow, you know, like you're seeing something really, really close. And upon a little more like poking and prodding, I found out that like that was like really scary almost for him to like think that far.
Yeah.
Because he can't even see beyond like that little period. And like that was wrong of me to go in and expect that of someone. And really what we need to do is get those first wins in place to like build that momentum and then increase the scope of what you can see.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone this past weekend about this who is very successful. The dude makes, you know, like the dude does really well. Entrepreneur does really well for himself. But he saw the intermediate. And when I started talking about like big picture, like for him, it was even like that. Now, what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else because that's not true at all. We all have different abilities and different strengths. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that like leveraging what you're comfortable with and maybe just pushing it a little bit can be a really, really powerful tool, but don't think there's anything wrong with yourself for not being able to do it.
Yeah.
And don't let me in my other state of mind think that there's anything wrong with that, because there's not. You're doing the best that you can. You probably heard this a million times. It's cliche at this point. We're doing the best that we can with the tools that we have. There's so much truth in that, you know? So like use the stepping stones, use everything that you can as a lesson, as something to help carry you forward to the next step. And two things. One, if you're delivering value and that's the lens that you're looking at the world in, and you're humble enough to learn, you know, make mistakes and then be like, cool, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? What could I have done differently to make it work? How can I point the finger back at me? How can I give myself the power in this situation? Learn, shift, move on. And then everything's beautiful. It can be the worst situation in the world, but now all of a sudden you have a learning out of it, which has helped you become a better human being, which is what we're here for. It's long-winded.
No, and I would agree with that. It's like, especially like I'm big on learning, right? And pushing myself to like always be learning. There's always something you can learn. Like nobody knows everything. But everybody knows something.
That's right.
And like
everyone's a master in something.
Everyone's a master in something. And it's just finding those people, like finding who, like if you want to learn something, is finding the people that know that thing and have them teach you, or like follow them and learn how they learn. It's like most of the time when someone's a master at something, they're still learning that thing.
But it probably wasn't an accident. And they would know the resources to look for, that help you, guide you. And what I found is like a lot of times we look at people that have like a following or a subject matter expert in one thing, but a lot of the times if you would reach out to them, like they'd be like the nicest person, and they're like giving you advice and like telling you like what they do, or like things to look into, or be like, I don't necessarily know the answer to that question. And that also then you like that like knocks you back and like, oh, they don't know, like what
they don't like this person that I think is an expert is like, they don't know this thing, but they're gonna like help look into it and like help me learn as well as like learn themselves. It's like it's a cool thing to see, especially that was a thing that I definitely struggled with, like getting my first job. And I worked with a lot of people that had a lot of experience. And then sometimes I'd like be afraid to ask a question that I thought was dumb. And then you'd ask the question and they'd be like, I don't necessarily know the answer to that. Let's hop on a call and like see if we can figure this out. And then seeing how it's kind of seeing how they solve a problem, how they look up things, and then you learn new ways of doing it, and then you can implement that yourself. It's like always learning mindset, and that's something that I try and keep with me. And that's something that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, and it's done well for you.
That's
done well for you. Well, cool. I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of this with our audience and some of the wins that you've had. And I'm curious to know, just kind of as a last thread to pull, if there's anything that you still struggle with.
For me, I think my biggest struggle is kind of like the camaraderie and like that team. Like you don't have that once you get out. And especially with me working in like a remote environment and not having like a team. And even when I did like work with a team, it's not the same. And that's one of the things I struggle with is like that brotherhood mentality and everyone being in the same struggle as you is like, that's not there. And then that's kind of what's missing from that like support system. Like that support system helps you with that and having like the friends that you can like count on, but it's not the same. Like they're not in the struggle with you. And it's not like there's no one to like bond with in that way,
Sure.
It's like you have your struggle and you're kind of like on your own. And I think that's the struggle that a lot of veterans that they face. And I think that's kind of where a lot of like the issues come from. And I don't necessarily know if there's a good system in place for veterans yet to kind of help with that. And I think that's definitely like with Prize, something that you guys are like, say you guys, that we're trying to handle is kind of get that system going for veterans so that they can kind of find that like community, find that like that camaraderie and help with solve those issues.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I do agree. I agree that that's something that can be really challenging. And I would also add that there's a ton of groups out there. Community. I mean, I can name here in the Lehigh Valley, you've got the Marine Corps League, which I think is really cool. And it's like, we're seeing like generational differences here, right? Like, but I think there's a lot of beauty in that too, right? Because these guys bring some stories and some, insight that you just might not have. Learning mindset. But there's a lot of them out there, and I would kind of urge y'all to maybe find that. If you were into, say, skateboarding before you went into the military, I guarantee you there's like a veteran skateboarding group. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? Like there's photography groups, there's equine groups, there's archery. I mean, like fly fishing, you name it. They all exist out there, and I think that, to your point, like here, the community is very, very important. You're not in this alone. Curious to know, what's your favorite book?
Favorite book? That's a good question. I'm not much of a reader, so that's a tough one for me.
So is there any book that you ever read in your entire life that you can like, this is actually a book I really remember and stuck with me?
Like I said,
that's okay. All right. What about a favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Unsubscribe.
No.
Podcast. Yeah, they're all veterans and they have some like funny topics, not necessarily like safer work topics, but what I found is I really like because like their podcast, they're all veterans. There's like Marine Corps veterans, there's Navy veterans that are on there, and they bring in like other veterans from like the content creator space and things like that.
Oh, cool.
And just some of the topics they talk about are so like relatable. Like when they talk about like stories from like being in the military, I'm just like, it just like takes me back. And it's like one of those just like a nostalgia thing, or just like their humor is just like veteran humor. And that's not really out there, especially when you move to the civilian side. It's not that's really not a thing anymore. So having a podcast like that, and it's just really relatable, and I just, they get my sense of humor and I get their sense of humor.
Unsubscribed.
So Unsubscribed podcast, that's probably one of my favorites podcasts right now, and that I've been dedicated listener to.
I love that. Okay, and how can people get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Zachary Matthews. that's probably
That's the best one.
the best way for
Cool.
me. Yeah, my email's on there. That's and my projects that I've been on, and yeah, what I like to do. So
Nice. Yeah, I'll as usual, I'll drop all that in the show notes. We didn't have any quotes today.
no quote.
No, what's your favorite quote?
Uh,
Ooh, that's a good quote. I'm gonna start adding that one.
What's your favorite quote? What's it from? Who's it? Winston Churchill.
Which one?
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
Why does that resonate with you?
Because it goes back to the thing where it's like you can be like an expert at something, and I guess don't have like you don't have to be in the limelight, but you could be an expert at something. You could be
Humility.
you can be a resource to somebody, and
That's right.
and but not be like out there and spreading yourself, like putting yourself like out there and being like, oh, I'm like this big expert. It's just
That's
like
right.
you can be the quiet expert in the room, and that really like resonates with me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And by the way, as we've just said, not too long ago here, everyone's a master at something, and you all have something to offer when it comes to that. And I know that was something we had a conversation of when we first came into this room. It's like, oh man, I'm following all these people. But you have a beautiful story. You have a great mindset and a lot of things to offer. And I hope all of you can reflect on yourselves and what you may have to offer there as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, man.